Listen to other people. You're not the smartest person in the room. Rather be humble. Grit, continue. Even if times get tough and you feel like you're completely giving up, grit, stick in there, keep going, keep pedaling the bike, otherwise you're going to fall over. And what got you here might not get you there. So do not try and apply. I know I might be butchering that, but don't think that the same things you did yesterday is going to give you success today, because then you're in a losing game.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Raving Patients Podcast. As you know, I'm your host, Dr. Len Tao, and I want to first, as I always, thank my sponsors, both Dental Intelligence and CallRail and Net32, for their support that allows me to come to your inbox every single Friday morning at 5 a.m. Eastern Time with a brand new episode. Today's episode is called Storytelling with the Dental Marketing. My guest is Jongh from Pain-Free Dental Marketing. I recently was just on one of his episodes, and I'm returning the favor here. On his, we talked about, obviously, online reviews, how to get them, all those things. It was a really good episode, so check that out if you want to. But today is on mine, and I want to introduce Ian to the audience. So Ian is a dental marketing expert who spent years diving deep into why patients choose a dentist and what keeps them coming back for life. His journey began with a passion for the technical issue of marketing, SEO, and conversion-driven websites. Over time, that passion evolved into a broader mission, understanding the psychology behind patient decisions, from branding and first impressions to treatment acceptance. Today, Ian is helping dental practices align their marketing from start to finish, both online and in the office, to create a seamless, trust-building patient journey. So please welcome to the Raving Patients Podcast, Jongh. Ian, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Len. It's lovely to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited. We had a really good episode when we did ours just a few weeks ago. It was released, so I hope you got a really nice response from the people from your audience, basically. I had a lot of people mention to me they liked the episode as well, so thank you for hosting me on yours. And like I said, I love returning the favor to those who have me on theirs, so here you are on mine. I think the best thing to do is really just tell offices how you help them. Obviously, you run a marketing agency, but what makes you different and how you help dental practices.
Yeah, Len, thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate you giving me a chance just to share a bit of that message of pain-free dental marketing and what we do. So at Pain-Free Dental Marketing, we're not every dentist marketer, but we've carved out a niche where we want to help dentists that have that unique message or that want to attract the right kind of patient or a certain kind of patient to their practice, in understanding how do you do that. So I'll preface what I'm saying with, I understand that there is the affordable dentist, or where you're going to get the best price, or you're not trying to speak a certain type of message or attract a certain patient. You're happy to get the call that you want, as many calls as you can, and to get the patient into that office. And where Pain-Free has changed things is we know there's many dentists out there that want to cut down on the insurances, that want to have a unique and special message that they want to share with people, that want to get more of those higher fee cases into their office. And to do that, as you mentioned earlier, there's psychology behind this. There's a certain type of marketing that you need to implement in order to attract the right kind of patient. And that is what we are all about. What is that message, that unique message that your practice has? And how can we communicate that in the most authentic way so that you get those patients into your office? So,
and as you know, and I hate to say it, there are marketing companies out there in the dental industry are a dime a dozen. There are so many companies that I've been in this space for 15 years, and there's so many companies, you see them at one trade show, you never see them again. They come and go very easily, and a lot of them don't really do what they say they're going to do. I don't want to say they necessarily mean it, but they take advantage of dental practices, and you hear stories about it left and right. So just out of curiosity, for those that aren't aware of your company, what do you think you do that makes you different? Number one, obviously you're very much in the dental space, because even in your pain-free dental marketing, obviously you deal with dentists. So yes, you're a niche dental marketing company. But what do you think really makes you different than other practices or other businesses? Excuse me.
So we get this question all the time because we have many of those dentists that are frustrated that you've mentioned that hear from their marketing company once a month or was promised all these things, and then they get to a point where they say, well, it doesn't feel like I even have someone on my team anymore. We hear that all the time. And what I say is, what Pain-Free does is we become an extension of your practice. We become a partner. We become your marketing department. I don't want you to see us as a third-party vendor or a list of services. You're paying us a salary in order to get an outcome, similar to if you would pay an employee. I'm not going to promise you this many hours this month and we're going to do this and that and this list of service and SEO and this one and social media. And when I've done those 3 posts, then I wipe my hands and I say, thank you so much. If we're not generating the calls that you need, and we track these things through CallRail, we track the reviews that we're getting into the office, the clicks, all of these things, we actually are transparent in terms of the type of data that we're showing you. But if the data says one thing and you're not feeling it in your office, that's our philosophy. Then nothing that I'm doing actually matters. So I'm not going to try and butter it up and try and sell you something if you're not feeling it on your collections or production at the end of the month. And that's where we partner with you. And if we're not seeing that difference, then I'm not doing my job, which means that something needs to change. And whether this is that we work with you then if it's a bad month and we need to lower your retainer because the office is struggling, then we will do that, because sometimes I need to give, sometimes you need to give. And in that way, we become a true partnership, not this, I blame you for my low patients or you blame me because we're not working together. Because then we're not a team, Len. Then we're not working together.
Got it. No, that's good to hear. So dental marketing in the last even couple of years has changed dramatically. I mean, it used to be, hey, do a website, do SEO. You can run some Google ads. You got some reviews, and obviously most practices got patients. But the whole extension of marketing has changed. You have to do totally different things. So can you talk about why dental marketing is now really storytelling? It's very visual, with the advent of YouTube and Instagram and all these other, visual apps. The storytelling is so important. So can you talk about where that shift occurred and where you see dental marketing now and what you see it looks like in the future?
Great question. Dental marketing for me, I started in this about 6 years ago. And I know you've come a long time too, Len, and you have a long history in this. And I think you'll agree that at once upon a time, it was get me as high on Google as possible and get me as many calls as possible and just put the message out there and something will land. I think consumers and patients in this case have become much smarter. And the Google algorithm and AI and the introduction of all of these things have changed not only how the patients interact with you, but how these algorithms and how these platforms also interact with your brand and being smarter. And whereas before, maybe the dentist in city tagline would have gotten you ranking or would have gotten you to a place where you can attract patients, people are not in love with the service. People are not in love with the product itself. They're in love with the message. They're in love with the story that you tell. And we see this across many of the major brands. People buy the brands or do the things that they do because of the why behind that brand. Why should I care about your practice? And that's been one of the biggest changes for me in seeing how patients have gotten smarter is I'm not just going to go to a dentist because they offer the service that I want. What type of doctor am I dealing with? What message are you telling me? What are you sharing with me that's going to make me feel that this is going to be my dental home? And everything from the type of reviews that you have on your Google business, to the images that you're communicating, to the video testimonials, to the tagline of that dentist introducing themselves for the first time to that patient. We get a feeling within ourselves when we read certain text because words matter. And that's where, to me, things have truly changed, where for these dentists out there that want to attract that high fee cases or that wants to represent their practice in a certain way, you can't just have the generic messaging or this is my list of services or we treat you like family and we have the latest technology. You would be shocked then, and I know you see this in the space too, the amount of dental websites that still just has this generic, you will feel at home, you will not have anxiety, if every single dentist says that, why do I care to come to you? I'm not going to come to you. But if you reword that in, when you walk through the doors at our practice, you'll feel something different. From the lemongrass scented diffuser to the cappuccino machine on your right, being greeted by Lynn at the front door, who's going to help you make this as stress-free as possible. Do you see how telling that story compared to "you will have a good time" is going to make the difference? And that's how I feel dental marketing has changed and must change to have true impact.
It's interesting you said that. So I obviously consult with a lot of practices, whether it's on reviews, customer service, case acceptance, third-party financing, whatever it is. And one of the questions I ask a lot of times is, how are you different than every other dentist? What makes you different? And I say, I need certain type of answers, because they say, well, we treat them like family. Well, every practice treats their patients like family. I mean, it's like, what is really the differentiating factor? Why should someone come in to see you? Now, just to give you an example, when I first started my practice, I wanted to differentiate myself. And this is back in 2007. This is a long time ago. Internet was not what it is now. And I would take my patients, or I would go with my patients to their oral surgery appointments, and for their consults and their surgeries. I would be there when they had all their teeth taken out, and I would adjust their denture in the oral surgeon's practice rather than having them come back to mine. Those are things that made me different. That's what I mean when I tell people this, and they simply don't know answers to that. So I agree with you 100% that they have to find a way that really differentiates it, but tell it in a way that it really attracts someone looking for a dentist. So I think you described it perfectly there. So you have to be storytelling. That's all it is. When I give seminars, I tell stories up there. People love to hear stories. So I think the way that, first off, I want to go back to something that we covered on my podcast with you. And Ian basically had a great line that I want to at least get out there, that he talked about how important Google reviews were. And he came up, and I've used it in a couple of my seminars. I'm always giving him credit for it. Can you state the line that you stated of how important you think Google reviews are?
Yes. Reviews are the Bitcoins of dental marketing.
Reviews are the Bitcoin of dental marketing. I absolutely love that.
And it continues to, as the more you get and the longer you hold on to them and make sure that they're of quality, they will compound and they will continue to increase in value. I mean, as we've seen with the track record of Bitcoin, I've been in crypto for the past 10 years, so it's something interesting to me. And one day I just said, this is probably the most valuable thing in dental marketing. So the more you can accumulate of this, the better off you're going to be in the long term.
And never rest on your laurels, never stop getting them. Because
Exactly.
If you do, you're going to drop. That's just the way it is. So, and thank you for saying that. I wanted to make sure we covered that.
Of course.
So I think that the ways that patients select a dentist have certainly changed. Okay. In the past, it used to be you were referred to a practice and you just called the practice. That's
Correct.
that's how you found your dentist. Then with the advent of the internet, people would search online. They called the dentist. That process has changed significantly over the years. So can you talk about how new patients actually now select a dentist? I think you have a number of years of data. So can you talk about that?
Yes, great question, Len. So I looked at how we were doing marketing in our agency and realized that having an approach where you apply the same things across multiple disciplines of dentistry is actually a losing game. Because for certain types of dentistry, certain things matter. So for a pediatric dentist, I care about who is this person that's going to be interacting with my child. That is the most important thing for me. Is my child safe with this doctor, with this dentist? And that matters to me, as well as the environment. For the cosmetic patient, I want to see the proof of work, the before and afters. For the family dentist, is this a place where my entire family will have a dental home? There's different things that these different buyers, if you will call them that, have in mind. And there's 6 pillars that I identified that are the most important things. But to answer your question, the one that stood true across all disciplines of dentistry, and that was the biggest deciding factors, was the reputation of the dentist, meaning Google reviews. And if we take this concept and we apply it across anything that we're buying or any services that we're using, whether it's a barbershop, whether it's a restaurant, whether it's a product we're buying on Amazon, I want to know what I'm buying, and the best way to see that is through what other people are saying about that. And dentists need to understand that Google reviews and the reputation of who you are as a person online and what people are saying about you is the biggest deciding factor for new patients when they are deciding a new patient. Not just on the SEO front, but also in making that final decision of picking up the phone. And I think it was something like 60% of people surveyed in America from the surveys I looked at said they wouldn't even consider a dentist that was lower than 4 stars reviews. So if that doesn't give you an indication that making sure that you have your reviews in check and that you have that number climbing, I mean, the people have spoken, Len. They said so themselves.
Yeah, it's funny you said that because I was just in Queens, New York. I gave a seminar for the Queens County Dental Society on Saturday from when we recorded this, obviously. And she came up to me, and she was an Asian dentist who has Chinese patients, she said. And I looked her up online, and she has 1.4 stars with 34 reviews.
Oof.
And I was like, that's exactly my reaction. I was like, oof. And I'm like, she asked about my services, and when I was telling her, she goes, you know what? My patients don't look at reviews. And I was like,
oof.
Okay, I'm not sure I agree. And obviously, so I posted in Raving Patients, my Facebook group, about this in particular doctor. And I asked, do you think this is a turnoff to patients when they're referred to her? Because she said she's very much a word-of-mouth practice. I'm like, this is word-of-mouth 2.0. And I'm like, do you think that this, I asked in the group, do you think this is a turnoff to patients? And most people said it was. So I think that if you have a poor reputation, you're losing patients. You don't necessarily know it if you're busy, but you are 100% losing patients if you don't have a great reputation.
Mm. No, 100%, and we see that again and again. Why, again, Len, why is it different to me choosing a restaurant? The brain is working in the same way. Why would I go and choose the Amazon hairdryer that is 2 stars versus the one that's 4.8 stars by 1,000 people? It just, we make group decisions as human beings, and dentists need to understand that if you are going to be judged among your peers, this is one of the greatest signals that new patients are looking for in order to determine, can I even trust this person to begin with? Because if you don't have that social proof, I'm not even going to click through to your website. So you can have the greatest dental website ever. You can have the most patient testimonials ever. If I'm searching on Google, I'm trying to find you, and I just quickly scan through and I see you're 3.9 stars and the rest are above 4.5. All the work that you put in and all the money that you spend to build that website and do everything you've done goes to waste because you're not even opening up the door. Someone's not even getting past the front door to actually see the work you've done. So that's where, Len, I 100% agree with you in people need to focus on those first touch points, of which reviews is the most important one based on the data. This is not me making this up out of my head. I will actually share my methodology as I did on our podcast. I went on ChatGPT on the depth in search, the most advanced version that it has. And I said, over the last 5 years, go and look at what surveys have been done from dental patients or to dental patients where they shared what is the most important things when looking for a new dentist. And that's how I got my data to get kicked out. And this was everything from WebMD to Nextdoor to Yelp to reviews that were pulled from actual profiles. So this is real data from real people telling us that this is one of the most important signals for them when selecting a new dentist.
No, I agree with you 100%. And I think the future with it is definitely to be found where when you ask ChatGPT or you ask any of these AI products who the best dentist is or who should they go see, you need to be in that. If you're not, you're even more invisible than you think you are. So I think one of the things I remember you telling me in some of our conversations, which I really thought was great, was everybody's so enamored with new patients. Okay, they know how many new patients they have. They know how much they produce. They know how much they collect. They don't necessarily know how many patients are left through the back door. So your practice, you can be getting 50 new patients a month and you're losing 100. Your practice is contracting. That's a problem. But I think even more important is the right patient. So I think you said to me that you want practices to stop trying to get every new patient. You want them to get just get the right patients for their practice. So can you talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's a very different take on things. Everybody's just worried about how many new patients they're getting and they're not looking at anything else.
Of course. So that's another core part of our philosophy at Pain Free is I can't just get you calls and say to you, hey, doc, look, we got 100 patient calls. I did my job. What does that mean? What if 70 of those 100 were Medicaid calls and you're actually a practice that's trying to target higher case fee-for-service type of patients? It means nothing to me as the dental practice if I'm getting calls, but it's not the type of patient that I want. And I've seen so many times, Len, that if dentists are not getting the right kind of patients into this practice, it leans itself to burnout. Because I feel that I'm working harder and harder, but I'm less fulfilled in the work that I'm doing, and I'm making less money because I'm working as hard as I would, but I'm not getting the production that I want, or I'm not dealing with the type of person that I want. But my message to dentists are that if you want to attract the right kind of patient, your messaging needs to portray that. If you think of a dating app, you have the preferences that you put in, or the type of woman or the type of man that you're looking for. You're not just swiping right on everything and saying yes, 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 and then you hope it, because that'll burn you out. You'll get exhausted because you're not getting what you want. You're just saying yes to everything, and that's where I want dentists to also think about the fact of your energy is finite, and the time you have in a day on the type of patients that you want to work on is finite. And if you're just letting anyone in through your door and your marketing is communicating that, or the message that you have is communicating that, then that's exactly what's going to happen, and you're going to feel unfulfilled. So honing yourself in order to really sit down and think, what is it that matters to me? What kind of patient do I want in my practice? What makes us unique? An example, Len, you said earlier, go around the room and figure out what makes you unique. Think about, here's an exercise for dentists. Sit with your team in a circle. See how many times you can go in a circle where you each say something unique and special about your practice. If you can't make it twice around that circle, you've got a problem. Then you've got a problem. So go around, and if you can go around multiple times and the team is saying, this is what makes us different. And please, guys, don't say we will treat people like family. This is where, what makes that dentist unique? What makes the front desk person unique? What makes your office unique? And if you can go around and you can write those things down and say, okay, now how do I tailor this in order to communicate it to patients so that I pull in the patient that does care about the amenities that we have, that does care about the beautiful artwork, about the layout of my office, about the convenience we create, then I'm going to make that effort to come to your office because those things matter to me. And the people that value the things that you value will make you more fulfilled. That's why we have the friends that we have. That's why we have the people in our lives that we care about.
Makes a lot of sense to me. That's really good information. So, I get a lot of questions from dentists, and they tell me that, they hire a company and they're expected to, do a lot to help the marketing company, and they don't have the time to do it, and stuff that doesn't get done, quick enough. And there's always excuse after excuse after excuse. So I'm curious, what role do you think a dentist plays in a successful dental marketing campaign?
The marketing that your agency or your partner produces for you can only be as good as the material that you provide them. If you don't give me understanding and communicate with me what it is that matters to you, what it is that happens in your practice, then we are trying to solution without listening, without understanding. And that is the most dangerous thing you can do, because then I'm not actually building a strategy. I'm just doing things for you and hoping that something sticks. And the materials that we've seen that truly work the best in terms of building that reputation, I know we mentioned reviews. I mean, Len, I can bring you to the water there and help you with all types of strategies. But if you're not willing to implement these things and use the softwares to send out these reviews and have a strategy to actually be bold and get the things that you need from these patients, whether it's asking for reviews, whether it is getting the patient testimonials, whether it's getting the before and after pictures, what can I market? I can just put words on paper, and that's not, as you said earlier, that's not what is selling new patients these days. It is the new types of materials, the video testimonials, the seeing is believing aspect of marketing, where we need dentists to understand that we know you are wearing many hats. We know how exhausting this is. I shared with you before, my dad is a dentist, and he owned his own practice for 25 plus years. And I remember that man coming home night after night, and I could see how tired he was. I understand that you don't have time, but I also want dentists to lock eyes with me, literally, and say, I also understand that if I don't help you get these reviews, if I don't run the shop that needs to be run inside of my practice, get you the material, then we're just going to be another generic website. We're just going to be another generic dental practice that's not showing anybody why we are truly different. So whether it's working with someone in your team that's maybe from the younger generation that's good with phones, or that's good, or you that has more time because they're new and they're starting, figure out who's your point person and set accountability in place to build a culture where you can help your marketing company to get those pictures, to get those reviews, to get those testimonials. Because once you do that, it really does make the job so much easier to represent you as a brand and as a practice.
If there was something, a magic bullet, something that really stuck out where you think the future holds, a couple of years from now, I know I mentioned ChatGPT. If you had to, put your pulse on one thing that practice should continue to focus on, I know, we talked about reviews. Where do you think that is, or where do you think the next 5 years are going to differentiate the previous 5 years, and how in the dental marketing space?
Understanding that you can run a successful dental practice without attracting every patient, and rather finding the patient that you want and that you care for. If your practice has 1,500, 2,000 rotating patients, you're fine. And it's not crazy to think that I can find 2,000 people in the city that are going to resonate with me. And to realize that dentistry is not about the service or about teeth as much as it is about emotion. And more, as you see the commercialization of dentistry, as you see that the competitiveness in digital marketing, and that more and more practices are stepping to the plate in, we need a website, we need this, we getting the softwares, using AI to help them, the space is becoming more and more competitive. So instead of thinking of how can I just be better and better and better than all of the people around me, think, what is my message that I want to communicate, and what story will I tell? Because if you can do that successfully as a dentist, so many of our clients that are able to do this successfully, then I see they're so happy in the work that they're doing. So if I can have a magic wand and say where dentistry is going and what would be great for dentists, it is go and figure out your message truly. Take the time in your busy day to figure out what that is, and then focus on these core pillars that Len and I have spoken about today. Keep getting those reviews. Look where you can build social proofs to help people make that decision. Give proof of work so that people understand what they are buying. They want to see what they are buying. And then see what else makes you unique. Communicate that clearly, and see how the right patients start to come your way. And then refine. Refine, and continue until you get to a place where you say, I'm now in a good place. But focusing on those three things, I would say, as well as finding your story, Len, to me, that's what's going to differentiate the next generation of dentists, who are also, mind you, catering to a generation of millennials and Gen Zs and these type of patients who want that why, who want to feel that fulfillment of what are you doing as a dentist that has a story, that has a message, because ultimately that is our generation and what we want, that fulfillment of there is something bigger to this, and there's something, my dentist has this outlook on life, and that's why I go and see them. Those things matter.
If there's something that's being done now, I'm going to change the question slightly. If there's something being done now that you think is going to run its course and it's not going to be as effective as years go down the road, is there something that sticks in your head that you think is going to kind of go by the wayside, kind of like MySpace or something that just doesn't really work anymore for a practice?
It's going to be a bit of a hot take, but Google Ads, I struggle with Google Ads, Len, because the consumer has gotten smarter and smarter and smarter. And with laws and things in place of having to show that it's sponsored, especially the younger generation, I don't want to be sold to. And that's where things like reviews is that's your organic paid ad. The social proof in the pictures, what you're doing, that is my organic social proof. I would rather convert as a patient and call your practice if I see stellar reviews and I see the proof in the pudding than you having a catchy tagline that says ad. So to me, I think that will likely be something that will slowly but surely see less and less results in the type of patient that we're talking about now. If you're doing a special that is just killing it and you can't get anything better, think Walmart is selling an iPhone for $100. you're going to get conversions. Like, there's no way you're failing. And that's why I'm saying I understand that has a place in dentistry. If you can beat the guy next door to you in every single way in terms of pricing and you're making money, fantastic. But if I'm talking to the dentist that wants to do those big full arch cases or the smile makeovers or the things where people need to pay that out of pocket and it's going to cost them a lot of money, I'm going to make very sure that you're the right dentist for me. And that's where things like review and the social proof matter way more than a well-written ad that someone put some money behind.
Makes a whole lot of sense to me. So as we kind of finish things up, is there anything that we didn't discuss yet that you would want to bring up before we kind of wrap up and switch to the lightning round Q&A that I like doing with my guests?
Leonard, nothing comes to mind now. I think the message was delivered. I'm happy with what we covered.
Perfect. So on that note, we'll get your contact information. We'll get it once we're done with this. So we're going to do our lightning round Q&A. I'm bringing up my app that will help ask these questions. They're business-related questions, okay? The point of this is to ask them fairly quickly so we can get through 8 to 10 of them. So let's see there. Let's find one that we can start with. What has been your most satisfying moment in business?
Oof. I got into this. Do you mean client-facing or just for me?
Whatever. Could be client-facing. Could be something business-wise. Anything.
We had really been struggling with SEO about 5 years ago in our agency. They had tried various types of formulas and it just did not snap or work. That's how I'd originally come into Pain Free, with just starting to write blogs. And surely I said, I want to take on this journey of building an SEO department at this agency that's based on storytelling that makes that difference. And that grew to a 5-person department and a product that we now very proudly sell or sell as part of our package. So that's definitely something that has made me very proud.
That's great. If you could take a class on anything, what would it be on?
Behavioral psychology and dentistry.
Okay. Have you ever turned down a client?
Yes.
It's always good when you say no, isn't it?
Yes, we have. If you do not align with what we believe in at this agency and how we believe to do marketing and what works, we're going to butt heads, and I don't want us to invent reasons not to like each other.
That's good. What is the number one tactic that you use to stay organized?
Making lists and then ticking them off as I go, and make sure not to add too many things to that list, which I tend to do in a day.
That's great. So in order to become a successful entrepreneur, what would you say are some of the top 3 skills that someone needs?
Listen to other people. You're not the smartest person in the room. Rather be humble. Grit. Continue. Even if times get tough and you feel like you're completely giving up, grit. Stick in there. Keep going. Keep pedaling the bike. Otherwise, you're going to fall over. And what got you here might not get you there. So do not try and apply. I know I might be butchering that, but don't think that the same things you did yesterday is going to give you success today, because then you're in a losing game.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense there. What have you learned from the most successful person you know?
People are one of the most important things in this game of business, and giving them your time and working with them, understanding them and listening is what will bring you, or get you rather, much further than any type of smart strategy or something that you think you can come up with yourself.
Got it. What book have you read multiple times, or what is your favorite book?
How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
I've heard that mentioned a lot of times when people mention that book when I ask them that question. Who is someone in the industry that you would love to collaborate with, and what would you love to collaborate on?
Oof. So many names come to mind. Sorry, I know it's a speed round, but now my mind is buzzing. Who's someone in the industry? I had the privilege of meeting Craig Spodak of the Bulletproof Practice, and he is just a fantastic human being, and I would love to spend more time with him and work more closely with him and his team. I think they're doing great things over there.
That's awesome. Who has been your greatest inspiration?
My father.
Okay.
That's an easy one.
That's the easy one. Yep. When you were a kid, what was the first thing you wanted to be when you grew up?
I actually wanted to become a gynecologist. I don't know why, but that was what came to mind when I was a young kid. And then when I realized that all of the science and maths and things I had to do was not for me, and that I'm actually more of a creative, I changed courses quite quickly.
2 more questions. How do you define success?
If you can come to work or be around the people that you care about and you're truly happy and fulfilled inside, not just with what's around you, I believe then you have achieved success, because that's what life is about.
That's awesome. Last question. What is one subscription, either business or personal, so something that you pay for either monthly or annually, business or personal, that you could not live without?
It's going to sound crazy, but Apple Music. Music is one of the ways that I get out of my own head, and that brings me so much joy. And probably Apple Music. That's the one I cannot live without.
That's awesome. So you did really well there. Thank you so much. So as we close the episode, why don't you tell people how they can find out more about what pain-free dental marketing can do for them? Provide contact information. If you have an offer, you can throw it out there as well.
Yes, sir. So www.painfreedentalmarketing.com is where you can find us, and everything you need to know about who we are as a brand is communicated there, and the value that we can offer. We can also provide you with a business call or consultation where we just go over your marketing and actually share, this is where you're missing the mark. This is the elements where, if you are a cosmetic dentist, you're not communicating these things clearly enough to attract that kind of patient. Or if you're this kind of dentist, you need to be adding these things to pull that kind of patient. We love doing those because it's a workshop for us too, but you will leave with real information, real action items that you can actually take, and it will cost you nothing. We like to help people in the industry to attract the type of patient they want. So go and check that out, schedule a consultation with us, and we'll be happy to help.
Well, that's great. You were a terrific guest. So guys, if you liked what Ian had to say, he gave you his contact information, please feel free to reach out and tell him you heard about him on the Raving Patients Podcast. As always, remember, we have sponsors. We have Dental Intelligence, we have CallRail, and we have Net32. So please check them out as well and thank them for the continued support of this podcast. And as I end every single one of my episodes, remember, your reputation matters. Until the next one, Ian, thank you so much for joining me today, and we'll talk to everyone soon.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Appreciate it.